You are live.
All right. Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fearless and Free. We are posting these webinar series second Saturday of every month. My name is Heather Nicole. I am an emotional healing and relationship coach, and I am very excited to be here and to be part of the She is Understood series. So thank you for joining. Thank you for following along. Um, Today is going to be a little bit different than the other series or other webinars that we've done. I'm just going to be talking to you today. All right. I was having some technical issues, so we're going to unfortunately skip out on the presentation, but I promise the value will still 150% be there for you. Okay. So today's class is called Fearless and Free. And this is all about freeing yourself from your past, from your traumas, and embracing the person that you are today, the radiant you, the powerful you, and really stepping into a version of you that is learned from your past rather than somebody that defines themselves by their past. Okay. So, today's vibe, all right, you're going to be walking away with an understanding of your trauma patterns, tools to shift out of survival mode, because when you are stuck in that past, in that trauma mindset, you are in survival mode, and steps to reclaim your radiant, fearless self and to free yourself. Okay. So, who am I? Like I said, my name is Heather Nicole. I'm an emotional healing and relationship coach, and I empower women to heal their past so that they can have healthy as fuck relationships with themselves and with other people. After leaving a 10-year toxic relationship, I rebuilt myself from the ground up. And that is how I got down this journey and became the person that I am today. I decided to become a certified coach. And yeah, I'm here so that you don't have to do this journey alone. So, I want to start by talking about what trauma actually looks like, right? Because a lot of us might have things from our past that we're like, oh, it's just something that happened, and not really understand the impact that it actually has on us on a daily basis. So, I want to start there. So, I have a list here of 5 things that trauma can look like. That is people pleasing, perfectionism, fear of abandonment, emotional numbing, and over apologizing. All right. And I want to talk about each one of those. So, people pleasing. Most of the time, if you have some kind of trauma or you are in an emotionally neglectful situation when you were a child, there's going to be a part of you that feels like, in order to be accepted, in order to be loved, you are going to do whatever you can to please the people around you. Okay. Now, you might have also learned this from relationships. Okay. Because you are like, all right, I got to keep the peace. If I am able to please them and just do what they want to do, then we can avoid all the drama and everything will be great. Right. Um, we get into these patterns of doing that. But really, all that we are doing when we are people pleasing is abandoning ourselves, is abandoning the person that we are, abandoning our own needs, our own wants, our own desires, so that we can make this other person happy, right? We're molding ourselves into a person that we think we need to be so that we can avoid any kind of conflict or any kind of tension with the other person, right? So if you notice yourself kind of bending yourself and shaping yourself into all these things just to please other people, abandoning the things that you want, disregarding the things that you want, just again to please other people, that could be a sign of past trauma. Okay. The next one, perfectionism, right? A lot of us feel like, all right, if I do everything perfect, then I will be loved, right? Nobody will have a reason to criticize me. Nobody will have a reason to not like me and not want to be around me, right? We feel like if we are just like poly perfect, that people will just accept us and will love us, even though that might not be our true authentic self, right? Maybe we're putting on a front. Maybe we've learned again how to kind of mold ourselves into being a different version so that we come off as being this perfect person, right? Maybe we go above and beyond every day to make sure that our hair looks perfect and our makeup looks perfect and our outfit looks nice. Like, God forbid we ever go out of the house looking anything less than perfect because we're worried we're going to be judged. We're worried we're not going to be accepted. We're worried that we're not going to be loved, right? Maybe we think that the people that we already have in our life aren't going to love us if we don't continue to show up that way. All right. And we're going to get into in the next part here about what trauma keeps us trapped in. But a lot of it is self doubt, right? And that's what is playing on this perfectionism, on that people pleasing as well, because we have doubts in ourselves, right? And we feed into that and we allow that to define us and define who we are. The next one here is this fear of abandonment, right? So if you really get super anxious when you don't hear from somebody, or you start getting anxious if somebody's energy changes, right? And you start feeling like, oh, like they're not quite treating me the same, things just aren't right, like what's going on. You might have that deep fear of abandonment, right? If you really get upset and kind of go into this deep spiral when you have a relationship end or maybe a friendship end, then that could also be a sign of fear of abandonment, right? And I get it. Like, humans are by nature like communal people. We want to be with people. We want to be in relationship, right? We want to be in love. We want to be with our family, right? We thrive when we're able to communicate and talk with other people. So I get it. Like, we don't by nature, our instinct is to not be alone. But being alone and having that fear, that deathly fear of being abandoned, are two different things. All right. And I've experienced both. Like, it is very difficult to be alone, but it's also very, very possible. Right. And some of the best times of my life and the times where I've had the most growth in my life were times where I was single and like really didn't spend a lot of time with my friends and just kind of secluded myself to work on myself. Right. There were months at a time where I would do that and would just focus on myself. And it was really fucking scary because I did have this deep fear of abandonment, but I forced myself into those situations to be alone, to take myself out on self love dates and to go to places that were popular. And like, I might have told this story before, but there's this waterfront bar that's extremely popular, kind of like a party bar that's nearby, a restaurant, if you will. They have a big deck outside, they play live music, all the things. And I love it. I love going there. They have great food, it's great views, great vibes. And one day I faced my fear and went there by myself. And it was one of the scariest things that I ever did. But I always come back to that moment and remember that that was the time where I really feel like I faced that fear, right? If you, again, I mentioned getting anxious when people don't text you back. That's a big one, especially if you have a lot of relationship wounds or a relationship trauma, right? We worry that, oh my gosh, they don't love me anymore. They're talking to somebody else. They're doing something. They don't care about me, right? Our mind starts racing because we're worried that they're going to leave us because we have doubts in who we are. Okay. The next thing here, trauma can look like is emotional numbing, right? And I'm sure that we've all been in that place before, right? It's easier to just not feel, right? Your body is like, nope, this is too much. I'd rather just sit and binge Netflix and eat all this ice cream and sit here by myself and it'll be great, right? And you just numb out. You just watch Love Island, all the hundreds of episodes, right? I clicked on one the other day. It said there were 65 episodes of that. Do you know how long it would take me to watch that? Right? Like the environment that we live in, the world that we live in makes it very easy for us to get into a state of numbing, right? Whether you are just scrolling TikTok, right? Just a simple swipe of the finger. You could sit there for hours doom scrolling, right? It's just so easy nowadays to just completely numb out. Not to mention with drugs, with alcohol, right? There are just so many ways that we can avoid our feelings. But if you find yourself in that perpetual state of trying to avoid, of trying to numb your emotions, then that could be a sign of trauma. And the last one here, over apologizing. If you feel like you hear yourself say, I'm sorry, 100 times a day, then at some point down the line, you were taught that it was not okay for you to take up space. Okay, I'm going to say that again. If you find yourself apologizing 100 times a day, somewhere along the line, you learned that it was not okay. It was not safe for you to take up space. And that's why you apologize, right? When I became aware of this, when I'm out in public, I noticed so much how women, it's way more women than men, will be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, right? Like we'll be in the same aisle at Home Goods and Homegirl trying to come down. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, can I get by? You go by, oh yeah, girl, go ahead, whatever. Exchange. I noticed that, oh, she's apologizing for just being here, right? Like she had no reason to apologize. But if a man was coming down the aisle and be like, excuse me, and would just push his way through, right? Women were taught that we should not take up space. We shouldn't be loud, right? We shouldn't be opinionated. So when something seems a little too much, quote unquote, we apologize for it. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I should have done that. I should have said that. I shouldn't have been there, right? I'm sorry that my body is taking up space, right? Those are the learned beliefs. And I want you to really start paying attention to these things in your daily life. Like, where are you constantly apologizing? Where are you people pleasing? Where are you abandoning yourself? Where do you feel like you have to show up perfect? Right? Those are going to be signs that are going to show you and help you dig a little bit more, a little bit deeper into your trauma and into your past and into these old beliefs and really understand why they're there. Okay, so trauma, so it's going to look like all of that, you know, the people pleasing, the over apologizing, the perfectionism, right? But what's it keep us stuck in? Right? What kind of patterns does it keep us stuck in? Right? This is where the self-doubt that I mentioned comes in. Because when you are constantly apologizing, when you are constantly molding yourself to be something else for someone else because you're worried about how they're going to view you, how they're going to judge you, that is self-doubt. Okay? Trauma is going to keep you stuck in toxic cycles. So maybe you continuously attract the same toxic partner, right? You're attracting the same type of people that have the same types of patterns that they, on their own end, that they need to freaking deal with, right? Maybe you find yourself in the same toxic habits, right? Those numbing habits. Maybe you found yourself struggling with drugs or alcohol. All right. All of this can link back to past traumas, to past emotional neglect. Trauma can also keep you stuck in emotional shutdown. So, that avoiding that we talked about, where you are numbing yourself out, trauma can keep you stuck in that. And I will say, it's probably about 5 years ago now, there was a period of time where I was completely shut down. Like, I did not feel anything. And it's really difficult, especially being a parent, a single parent, trying to navigate life when you are in that space, right? You don't feel like you can talk about it. You feel like you're the only one that's ever experienced it. And you just don't feel safe to express yourself, right? And you're scared, right? It feels just like too much. You're like, if I allow myself to feel, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna sink to the core of the earth, right? Like your body can't even hold it. And when you start feeling like that, it's so much easier for you to just shut down, for you to turn to the drugs, to the alcohol, to the doom scrolling, to the binging, right? Maybe binge eating, binge keep watching TV, whatever it is for you, whatever your vice is, right? You know what your vice is. You know what that thing is that you get yourself stuck into, right? Depending on the level of trauma, it can be very easy for you to just shut down and stay in that state for months at a time. Trauma is also going to keep you stuck in identity loss, right? Because through the trauma, you lose who you are, right? Through trying to people please yourself or perfection or show up in this perfectionist way, right? You're molding yourself, you're changing yourself, you're trying to become something for everybody else to what you think they want in order for you to be loved and accepted. That along the way, you completely forget who you are. You completely forget the person that you were before the trauma. You completely forget that little child within you, that authentic you. You lose that version of you because you get swept up in everything else, in the doubt, in the over explaining, in the over apologizing, right? Today, we're talking about shifting out of all that, right? And we're going to do that through the Fearless Shift framework. And this is a 5-step framework that we are going to break down today. So it is number 1, feel it to heal it. 2 is embrace the inner you. 3, awareness is queen. 4, release and rewire. And 5, choose a new story. So let's dive into step 1. Hope you got your notepads out here because now is the time you want to start writing this down. All right. So step number 1, feel it to heal it. Okay. This step is all about giving yourself the permission to feel, right? Because, like I've been talking about, so many of us numb out, so many of us avoid the emotion. But in order to truly heal, in order to truly move on, you have to feel it at some point. All right. I know it's fucking scary. We don't want to face these things. We don't want to be honest because it makes us feel weak. It makes us feel broken. It makes us feel like there's something wrong with us. But at the end of the day, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. Every single one of us has faced something in our past that has brought us to this class today, that has brought us here together, right? And even the people that aren't on the same healing journey that you're on and have even realized it yet, everybody has something in their past that has shaped who they are today, good or bad. All right. But the bad stuff is what we tend to focus on. The bad stuff is what makes us feel like we're not good enough, like we're broken. But that's just not true. Okay. It's just something that happened to you. And today we're talking about moving out of that. All right. So feeling it to heal it. All right. You have to allow yourself to witness your emotions with compassion. All right. You cannot judge yourself for these emotions. We have to remember that these emotions are just messengers, right? It's just your body, it's just your nervous system trying to tell you something, right? And the more that you are able to lean into that, the more that you're able to sit and actually just feel the emotion and be like, okay, what am I feeling right now? Like, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling scared, anxious, whatever it is, right? Put a name to the feeling, right? I want you to stop right now and ask yourself, what emotions are you avoiding lately? Right? Really think about it. What kind of emotions have been coming up and avoiding? If I'm being honest, I definitely have some stress that I've been avoiding. That's probably one of the easier ones, I think, to avoid because we get caught up in our daily routines and it's just like, oh, I'll deal with that later. But maybe it is anger or grief or shame or fear that you've been avoiding, right? These are completely normal feelings. But the thing is, in our society, is that we often label them as too much, right? Like if you have this overwhelming grief about, I don't know, maybe somebody passing away or losing somebody, losing a relationship, maybe even losing a job, people might be like, oh, that's too much. Like you need to relax. Like it's not that big of a deal, right? So then we tell ourselves, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this way. And we avoid it rather than just dealing with the emotion. A couple hidden signs that you might be avoiding your emotions is over explaining. All right. I used to do this all the freaking time. Okay. I had no fucking boundaries and I would just over explain myself into a fucking tizzy, right? Like if I couldn't do something, I would feel guilty about it, but instead, like, try to avoid the guilt. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, I can't do that. I'm so sorry. I have this to do and I have that to do. And like, I would completely explain every little thing that was going on in my life that week to this person that really didn't give a fuck, if we're being honest, right? Like it really didn't affect them. They're like, okay, well, you can't come to this event or you can't come to this birthday party or whatever. Like, so for example, I had a friend who actually has a birthday party this afternoon for her daughter. I am not able to go because I have my full time job. I have to work today because I leave next week for a trip. So I'm going to be missing a week. So I can't miss Saturday. And like, part of me wanted to text her and explain all of that to her. But because I'm on my healing journey, because I set boundaries, because I, you know, try to practice what I preach as much as fucking possible, I texted her instead and said, hey, I'm really sorry. I'm not going to be able to make it to her daughter's birthday. I hope you guys have the best time. I love you guys and I miss you guys. Period. All right. I didn't over explain myself. Right. I didn't allow the guilt to eat me away and make me over explain and then try to make me feel better. Right. Because that's why we over explain. So we can try to make ourselves feel better about the guilt. Right. Maybe you're over functioning, meaning that you overwork yourself. Right. Or you go do all the things. Right. You have friends have birthday parties. You got 5 birthday parties in one day. No problem. I'm doing them all. Right. Instead of setting that boundary and going to maybe one in the morning and one in the afternoon or something like that, or maybe when it comes to work, you're overworking yourself and you're like, oh, no problem. I'll work 80 hours this week. Don't you worry. I want to make sure that you like me and that you think that I'm doing a good job. So I will do whatever it takes. Right. Maybe you feel guilty about something at work. Maybe you're angry about something at work. Right. And you're trying to prove your point. So you go in there and you overwork yourself, right? There's so many hidden ways that this can show up, which is why it's super important for you to really sit with the question, what emotions have I been avoiding lately? And ask yourself why. Why am I so scared to feel that? Right? What is it about this emotion that is making me not want to feel that way right now? All right. So I want everybody to try this practice right now. And this is just going to be a grounding practice for you when you start feeling emotions come up so that you can actually stop in the moment and feel it to heal it. Okay. So I want everybody to put their hand on their heart and I want you just to take a couple deep breaths. Okay. We're going to breathe in and breathe out. Just do that a couple times. Ground yourself, calm yourself down. Really settle into how you're feeling. And I want you to ask yourself, close your eyes if you need to, really settle into the moment, be present in the moment. Okay. Keep taking these deep breaths. I want you to ask yourself, what emotion is asking to be seen? Okay. And I want you to quiet your mind and I want you to ask, what emotion is asking to be seen? Just listen to the answer. And then I want you to affirm, I can feel it and still be safe. Right? I'm allowed to feel this anger and still be safe. I'm allowed to feel this guilt and still be safe. Okay. And I want you to sit with it and allow yourself to feel safe, allow yourself to feel whole, allow yourself to just be in this moment. Okay. Take a deep breath. And that is something that you can do. You can tap into. You saw it took what, maybe a minute, right? maybe 2 minutes if you really want to sit with it for a little bit longer. That's something that you can do very easily whenever you start feeling big emotions come up for you. All right. Allow yourself to feel. It is safe to feel. And I know that you probably have patterns in your past that have told you that it's not okay to express your emotions, right? That you'll be judged for them, that maybe you'll be loved less for them, that maybe somebody will get angry at you if you start feeling that way. But I want you to know that that is not love. That is not how a safe space should be. All right. And it is okay for you to feel your emotions. It is okay. It is safe. All right. So I really want you to step into this practice of feeling your emotions, right? Asking yourself, what am I feeling right now and why? And allowing yourself to feel it and be safe. All right. Feel it to heal it. Step one. All right. Moving on to step two. All right. Embracing the inner you. All right. Now, this is all about getting back in touch with that inner child. All right. So I want you to ask yourself, like, who were you before the world told you who to be? All right. Who were you before the world told you who you had to be? Right. As we grow up, as we, go through college and really start identifying who we are, as we grow through our 20s, get into our first career, right? Get into our first, like, quote unquote, big girl job, right? We really start to build these identities around who we are, right? And so many times, because of the world that we live in, right, society plays a role in who we think we need to be. So maybe you have a professional office job, right? And you're like, oh, like, I have a professional office job. I have to do X, Y, and Z. I should be showing up with my customer service voice, or as my friends tell me, it's my Disney princess voice. Um, that you know what I'm talking about. We all have that, like, extra little tone in our voice when we're on the phone, like, hi, thank you for calling. How can I help you? Right? Like, it's just the way that we don't normally talk. Um, but like we mold into these people because we think that that's who we have to be because we're taught by society, right? By maybe from past relationships. Maybe there's been men in your life that have said to you, oh, women should be heard and not seen. Or maybe there are men in your life that tell you that you're too much, or that you are supposed to be at home cooking and cleaning and taking care of the kids, right? And you feel like you need to fit that mold. Maybe there are people that tell you that you're too loud and you quiet yourself down. Maybe there are people tell you that you're too bitchy, right? Or whatever it is, right? So you mold yourself into this good girl, this good boy, or so that you can fit in, so that you can be accepted. But who were you before all that bullshit? What about the vibrant, the intuitive, the unfiltered version of you? Because that version of you is still in there, right? Trauma disconnects us from our core self. It makes us forget that version of us because we're so busy trying to overcompensate, right? For all the crap that we feel makes us broken, makes us not good enough, right? It's just a cycle. All the things that we've been talking about, it's all connected. All right. Because we feel like we are broken and not good enough, we create a different version of ourselves. We create a whole new identity. But what if we embrace that version of ourselves? What if we really came in tune with that version of ourselves? Right? Your inner child is that. All right. Your inner child is the source of your creativity, of your sensitivity, of your boldness, of your joy, right? It's the version of you, that little child within you that maybe was neglected, that version of you that didn't feel like they were seen or heard, that version of you that felt like they needed to quiet themselves down. This is the version and the part of you where a lot of your fears and your wounds live because we hold on to them, right? That inner child is holding on to them with dear life. And the thing that we often don't realize is that that inner child is the one leading the way. She's the one leading, saying, oh my gosh, I have to be this super professional person, but I can't be too loud and I can't be too bitchy. And like, I have to, balance it just right so that I'll be accepted, so that people will like me. Because that's what she learned as a child, that she had to mold herself to be quiet, to not say certain things so that she would be liked. Okay. So I want you to close your eyes and I want you to picture your inner child. What are they wearing? What does their hair look like? Okay, what shoes are they wearing? Where are they at? Picture the scene, right? Get as much detail as possible. Really visualize your inner child and visualize yourself when you were, 5, 6, 7 years old. And I want you to ask yourself, what does that child want to tell you? What does that child need from you now? Right? Ask yourself, what did I need to hear when I was 5, 6, 7 years old? Right? What would make the difference if you were to say it to yourself then? Right? That would have changed things for you. I want you to say it to yourself now, because it's never too late. It's never too late to reparent that inner child within you. So, really get clear, what is it that that inner child needed? What is it that that inner child never received that you can give to yourself now? And give it to yourself, baby. Right? Give yourself that love, that support, that safety that your inner child never felt. Because then and only then will you feel safe and strong enough to allow that authentic version of you to come out. Right? Give yourself all the things that you never got and watch yourself flourish. All right? I want you to get back to the kinds of things that you liked as a child, right? A lot of times, like, if you're a very artistic child, you become an artistic adult, right? Like, you still love creating things and making things. Like, maybe you loved clay and you liked really making things with your hands. Maybe you were a drawer. For me, sorry, for me, I love to color, right? And I have so many coloring books and I color all the time. I color on my iPad, like just doing little things like that where you're kind of embracing that inner child and allowing your creativity to flourish. Those are like small little things that you can do to really start getting back to that authentic self. Okay. Maybe you loved running around outside in your bare feet. Go outside, right? You're still allowed to do that as an adult. I don't know who told you you couldn't, right? I'm giving you permission right now. Go run outside in the grass, take your shoes off, let your little toesies be in the grass, right? And feel that earth under your body. Feel that earth supporting you, right? Get back in touch with that version of yourself. Maybe you love to dance as a child, right? Go dance, right? There are plenty of places as adults that we can go shake our booties and have a good freaking time. All right, go do it. Whatever it is that you love to do as a child, whatever it is that really sparks that light within you, that authentic version of you, go fucking do it. I'm telling you, that's your homework for this weekend. Go do something that your inner child, that the younger you love to do. All right, and get back in touch with her. All right. So that was step number 2, embracing the inner you. We're going to move on to step number 3. Awareness is queen. Right? Here's the truth. You cannot heal what you're not willing to name. Okay? You cannot heal what you're not willing to name. Which is why awareness is always going to be a very, very, very important step when it comes to healing toxic cycles, because you have to be aware of what you're healing if you're going to move on, right? Just like anything else in life. Like, if you're on a road trip, you're not going to just start driving and not know where you're going, right? You're going to be aware of the end game before you start going down this road, right? Because how are you going to know how to get there if you don't know where you're going? Right? So if you become deeply aware of the fact that you are a people pleaser, then you can start bringing more awareness and a deeper awareness and really start focusing on those people pleasing tendencies and start setting boundaries that are specific and intentional around people pleasing. Right. But if you're just like, oh, I don't really know what's going on. But like I know there's like something, so like I'll just keep reading self-help books and like just keep watching podcasts and I'll be all right. Like I'll figure it out eventually. No, that's not how that works. Right? You have to have a plan. So if you again know that you have maybe you continuously get attracted to emotionally unavailable people, right? You can really start paying more attention to that, right? Maybe you shrink yourself to avoid conflict, right? Like you never speak up for yourself, right? Maybe there's an issue at work that's really been bothering you, but instead of dealing with it, you like cower down and you're avoiding it and maybe there's a certain person that you just don't talk to right now or like whatever the case is, right? Bring awareness to these cycles, bring awareness to these patterns. All right, what is going on with me? Only then are you going to be able to face it head on. Maybe you find yourself continuously abandoning your own needs, right? Why? Get to the root, get curious about it, right? The more curiosity you bring, the more awareness that you bring. So ask yourself, why does this keep showing up for me? Why is this a thing? Why can't I stop doing this? Right? Journal on it. Talk about it with a friend. Talk about it out loud to yourself, right? Like, just work through it and bring that awareness to whatever it is, whatever that cycle is that you have going on. Because every time that you notice a trigger or a reaction or you repeating the same pattern, it's a chance for you to pause and to choose something different, right? So I want you to practice naming the trigger, naming the feeling that you get when you have that trigger happen. And then I want you to ask yourself, is this coming from truth or trauma? Right? So if you notice yourself, somebody like, oh, like I want to go to Shake Shack for dinner. I don't know. That's the first place that came to my mind. But you absolutely hate Shake Shack, right? And like the last time you went there, they totally messed up your order, or maybe you got like really violently ill, right? And you're like, oh, I don't want to eat there again. But because you're a people pleaser, because you have self doubt, because you're scared to not be liked, you're scared that if you cause conflict somebody will abandon you, you don't speak up and you're like, oh, I guess we'll just go there anyway. What if in that situation you stopped and you're like, wait, why do I feel like I can't tell this person I don't want to go here? Why is this triggering me right now? Why do I have this reaction? Right? So the trigger there would be like not speaking up for yourself. And what feeling does that bring for you? Oh, it makes me feel not good, right? It makes me feel like I'm abandoning myself. It makes me feel like I'm not standing up for myself because you are when you do that. Just FYI. But is that coming from truth or trauma? Right? It's coming from trauma, right? It's not truthful that you are not able to speak your truth, that you are not able to speak up for yourself. That's just your trauma talking. All right. So bringing this awareness to these reactions, to these cycles, to these patterns is how you heal. Name the trigger, name the feeling, and then ask, is it coming from truth or trauma? Okay. All right. Moving right along to step number 4, which is releasing and rewiring. Okay. And this is super, super important because you can't just think your way out of trauma. Okay. Healing is a full body job because your emotions live in your body, right? So you have to do work on your mind, your body, and your nervous system when you are healing this deep rooted trauma. So, one of the best ways to help you release your trauma is to do some work with your body, do work with that nervous system, right? To shake things loose. So I'm going to give you four different practices that you can start using. And you don't need to use all four. You don't need to use one, go in an order. You don't have to do anything specific with this. You can pick one and stick with that, right? But I do encourage you to try all four of these practices so that you can see what works for you, right? You might try the first one and be like, oh my gosh, I really, really love this. This is great. And then you end up sticking with it, but then you never try two, three, or four when number four was like the holy grail of exactly what you needed, right? So make sure you try all of these things, see what works for you, right? There's no right or wrong way to do this. There's no certain recipe, right? You just have to lean into your body. You have to trust your intuition and you have to really just try it. All right. So the first thing is EFT tapping. I could talk for hours about EFT tapping. I am a licensed EFT practitioner. Um, I will just mention I have, which I mentioned to you guys before, but you might be new. I have a podcast. It's called Be Fiercely You. I recently did an episode all about EFT tapping. It goes into extreme depth. I don't have the time to do that right now. I am going to give you a brief overview of it, but there is a bonus episode that goes along with it that gives you a tapping routine that you can work with to practice and really get into it. So basically what EFT tapping is, it stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. And it is a way to free the emotions, right? To get the emotions moving in your body. And you do that by tapping on meridian points, which are kind of like brain fart. Um, like the needles, acupuncture. So it's kind of like acupuncture points. But there are certain points in our bodies. I'll show you what they are. So we always start by tapping on our karate chop point, which is just right here, side of your hand in the middle. Um, and then after you, there's a certain words that go along with it, which I will get into in a minute after I show you the points. So you tap on this while you do your intro statement. And then you move through the other points in your body. So it starts on top of your head. Go right here above our eye, on the outside of our eye, underneath our eye, underneath our nose, on our chin, our collarbone, under your arm, right under here is where you want to tap. And then you go back to your head. And you start the cycle over and you go through all the points. Now, the important thing with EFT tapping is the words, the language, right? And we all know that words hold power. So that's why I said in the beginning, we have a certain set of words that we use to kind of trigger the emotions. And then as you work through the other points on your body, you're basically saying affirmations to yourself. And this practice can work with any emotion whatsoever, which is why I love it so freaking much because it doesn't matter if you are anxious out of your mind and you just need to calm yourself down, or if you are feeling so much grief that you can't even hold yourself together. You can use this practice and it will help. Okay. So, the intro statement that I was talking about when you're tapping on your karate chop point, it goes, even though I am feeling blank, and you fill in whatever emotion you're feeling. So even though I am feeling anxious, I deeply and completely love myself. Even though I am feeling anxious, I deeply and completely love myself. And you say that to yourself 3 times and you go through and you tap on that point the whole time. And then you start going through the points. And in the first round, you want to talk about releasing the emotion. All right. And you want to talk about what you're feeling. Right. So even though I'm feeling extremely anxious right now, it is okay. Right. I am still safe. And I choose to let this emotion go. I choose to step into calm. I choose to find that peace within me. These anxious feelings are not helping me right now. So I choose to let them go. And I'm stepping into power. I'm stepping into calm. And I remove myself from the chaos. Right. And that was just a very brief example, right? Like you can literally say whatever you feel called to say. You lean into that. Okay. I know it can be a little bit intimidating at first. You're like, oh, what if I don't say the right thing? You don't, there's no right or wrong. Okay. But because I know that it can be intimidating, I do have scripts for you. So again, check out that podcast episode. It's Be Fiercely You. It is on Apple, Spotify. If you guys check me out on social media at the Heather_Nicole, click the link in my bio. It has all the things there. But the episode goes into a lot of depth. There's actually a diagram that is linked down in the show notes of the episode as well that goes through the points. So you can have that as a reference. And then there is the bonus episode that takes you through a whole script that you can use. So again, I could talk about this for hours. That's a very, very brief overview of EFT tapping, but I highly encourage that you check it out, try it, see how you feel, and play around with it and see what works for you. The next thing here is breath work, right? And this is something that is going to calm your nervous system so well. I often use a combination of EFT tapping and breath work when I start feeling myself getting anxious or overwhelmed or extremely stressed or angry or whatever it is. But there's so many different versions of breath work that you can do. The first one that I always recommend to people is box breathing. It's very simple. It's a great place for beginners to start, which is simply you just breathing in for 4, holding it for 4, breathing out for 4, and then holding that for 4. So you're breathing in, hold, breathe out, and then hold 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, out 2, 3, 4, hold it 2, 3, 4. All right. So very simple, but it is a great way. I'll tell you what, little secret between me and you. I use this all the time after driving in traffic. I if you are from Delaware, then you know the Route 1 traffic, especially this time of year, is absolutely horrid. And I work down at the beach and I live in Dover. So I have to take Route 1 down there. So by the time I get to work, I'm a little bit frazzled by all of the traffic. So one of the first things I do is I pull into my parking spot, turn off my car, turn off my music, and I do my box breathing. And I center myself, bring myself back in before I got to go in. I'm manager at a restaurant, so I can't go in there frazzled. I got to keep myself cool, calm, and collected. So I use these tools a lot. Okay. And that's the thing. Like, I've been on this journey for 7 years now, and I still use these tools on a regular basis, right? This isn't about healing and never having, to deal with these things again. It's about having the tools to regulate yourself. It's about having the tools to calm yourself down when needed so that it doesn't turn into a spiral, so that it doesn't overwhelm you, so that it doesn't take over your life, because that's what trauma can do. All right. And I just want to give you the tools so that you can manage it to the best of your ability. Right. That's what I do. And it works. And it's changed my life. Right. I no longer feel like I am shackled to my past. Right. I no longer feel like my past relationship wounds and my trauma defines who I am. Right. Because I'm able to let things go and I'm able to move on by using simple tools like this. Okay. All right, the fourth tool here, grounding, right? And this is what we were talking about earlier. Go outside, put your feet in the grass, right? And ground yourself. You can also do this by using a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, where let's make sure I get this right. You do 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch. Maybe it's 5 things you can touch, 4 things you can see, 3 things that you hear, 2 things that you smell, and 1 thing that you taste. All right. So, what it does is it really brings you into your present moment, right? And it forces you to pay attention to what's going on around you in that moment. All right. Um, Another good grounding and really safety reset, if you will, is really just kind of sit and close your eyes and just listen and just be there and allow yourself to feel your emotions, right? Just breathe normally, just sit quietly, right? This alone, this is another one that I do a lot if I need to, right? Like when I'm leaving work, I just sit in silence a lot of the time. People are like, that is psychotic, but I need that silence. I need that time to just kind of be with myself, right? And that's what grounding is. It's just bringing yourself back home, right? It's bringing yourself back to your center. And there's so many different grounding techniques. I share a lot of them on my social medias, in my podcast, and all those things. So there is a wealth of resources out there for you to use. The last tool I want to give you here is somatic movement. And that is when you shake, when you dance, when you stretch your body to move that energy. This is one of my favorite things to do. I love to dance, right? You will always catch me out on that dance floor shaking it. And not just because it makes me feel so much better, but it energizes me. It makes me feel like home, right? This is why I personally love music festivals. They are like the one thing that is like a soul reset for me, right? I go really dive into the music, right? Allow it to penetrate my soul. I dance all fucking weekend and I love every freaking second of it, right? And that for me is not only healing, but it's allowing me to go back to my inner child. It is allowing me to be my authentic self, to reconnect with that inner me, right? And it has just been a life changing experience for me to really embrace that version and embrace that side of me when it comes to dance and allowing myself to just be free in that way, right? Look, I was walking through Target the other day with my boyfriend and a song came on that I loved and I had dog food in my hand, a bag of dog food in this hand, some can or some whatever. And I am dancing right down the aisle at Target. Like I don't even care anymore. Right. I needed to move my body. So that's what I did. Right. These things are so freaking healing. But the point here is that your emotions live in your body. So if you want to truly heal and have that deep healing experience, you have to do some body work, right? You can't just do all the healing in your head. You can't just read yourself into healing. You can't just listen to podcasts and watch webinars into healing. You have to actually put these practices into play and do the things, right? And you have to allow yourself to really embrace this change, embrace these new things and try new things, right? But these emotions, they are living in your body. You got to get them out. Okay, moving on. I realize I'm talking a lot. It's almost 12. All right, step number 5, last step here, choose a new story. All right, you get to choose. Your identity isn't your trauma. Your past happened to you, it doesn't define you, right? And healing is less about changing who you are and more about remembering who you were before the world dimmed your light, before that trauma dimmed your light, right? So now it's time for you to create this new radiant identity, right? So ask yourself, who's the version of you that's already free, right? What does this version of you look like? What does she believe? How does she speak to herself? What energy does she walk into a room with? Right? How does she carry herself? I want you to envision this version of you. And I want you to start becoming her. I want you to embody her now. Don't wait till next week. Don't wait till next month. Don't wait till next year, girl. I want you to embody her now. right? I want you to wake up every morning and say to yourself, today I choose to show up as the woman I am becoming. I want you to dress for her. I want you to walk like her. I want you to make choices for her. I want you to embody her now. And this is a mantra that you can take with you. I am not waiting to be chosen. I am choosing my damn self, right? I am not waiting to be chosen. I am choosing my damn self, right? And that is what a radiant queen does. She chooses her freaking self. So, what does the radiant you have, right? I have a radiant you vibe checklist here that we're going to go through because she's already inside of you, right? The radiant you is making decisions from self trust. The radiant you is expressing her boundaries with ease. The radiant you is prioritizing her peace over pleasing everybody else. The radiant you feels worthy as fuck and you don't need other people's validation. That's the version of you that I want you to walk away today being. That is the version of you that I want you to embody every single moment of every single day going forward. All right. I want to give you a couple truth bombs here that I'm hoping are going to motivate you, inspire you, and push you into that radiant version of you. All right. First and foremost, the version of you that survived deserves way more than just survival. Okay. She deserves joy. You deserve to be happy. All right. Number two, choosing yourself isn't selfish, right? We love to feel bad for choosing ourselves, right? It's very difficult for a lot of women to choose themselves and put themselves first. But choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's sacred. And that is how you up level by choosing yourself. Number three, you weren't broken. You were conditioned to believe that you had to earn your worth. Okay. I want to say this one again. You weren't broken. You aren't broken. You were simply conditioned to believe that you had to earn your worth. And that's not okay. But that is what happened, which is why you need to step into this worthy as fuck version of yourself and this radiant version of you and not worry about what other people think because you deserve it. And the fourth thing I want to say here, the strong woman act is exhausting, right? It is so exhausting to act strong all the freaking time. Let yourself be supported, right? Find a friend, maybe your partner, maybe a family member. Maybe you have a mentor or a coach or somebody that you can lean on. Finding support does not make you weak. If anything, it makes you stronger, right? So stop putting on this facade, stop pushing yourself to the limit, stop overwhelming and overstressing yourself and find support. Allow yourself to have that support. If you want to go deeper, because we are wrapping things up here, I want you guys to head over to my website, heathernicolecoaching.com. You can download my free workbook. It is called the Emotional Healing Blueprint. That is available now. It's completely free. And it takes you through a whole process of really diving into this whole thing so much deeper. It gives you journal prompts and exercises that you can try. And then you can also book your Empowered as Fuck breakthrough session with me. It is a free 30-minute session where we can talk about this, right? Instead of you doing it by yourself, instead of you working through those journal prompts alone, let's talk it out. Let's see how I can support you, how I can help you. And I mentioned before, we can connect on social media. I'm on TikTok and Instagram at the Heather Nicole. Check out my podcast, Be Fiercely You. And again, my website is heathernicolecoaching.com. There are a wealth of free resources on there for you. Just go to that free resources tab and you can download any of those. And the podcast is also a great way for you to get those little doses of healing on a regular basis. So make sure you subscribe and follow along. And that's all I have for you guys today. I'm very excited for next month, which let me see. real quick what next month's topic is because I'm having a brain fart on that one. But we will be here on the second Saturday of July at 11 o'clock. And almost there. Maybe. I don't know. We'll make a post about it. I don't want to hold you guys up anymore. But thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.